You've been told whole grains are always good for you, but after 60, that's not always true. For older adults, these risks aren't small. They can lead to serious illness, hospital stays, or worse. This video shows you how whole grains can turn harmful and how to protect yourself with simple, safe choices. 1. Mold on whole grain bread or cereal. The risk you can't always see. You might think those dark spots on your whole wheat toast are just grains or natural coloring. But after age 60, that assumption can secretly be taking a toll on your liver and immune system. Whole wheat bread and grains, especially when stored for too long or in damp places, are susceptible to mold growth, sometimes not visible at first glance. Older adults are especially vulnerable, as age immune decline makes it harder for the body to fight off mycotoxins like aflatoxin, a compound produced by mold that can cause liver damage and has been linked to an increased risk of cancer. Even if the bread smells normal and looks fine, mold can spread throughout the loaf beyond the visible surface. The same goes for cereals in boxes that are left open for weeks, especially those bought in bulk or stored in warm kitchens. According to CDC data, foodborne mold and mycotoxins pose a higher risk for older adults, including symptoms like nausea, fatigue, and in chronic cases, liver damage. So, what can you do? Never scrape off mold from bread and eat the rest. Throw out the whole loaf. Store whole grains in airtight containers in a cool, dry place. If the texture, smell, or packaging seems off, trust your instincts and throw it away. Prevention is even more important after age 60. 2. Quinoa, a clean superfood that can turn against you if eaten undercooked. You make a fresh quinoa salad for lunch, just wash, soak, and toss with olive oil and lemon. No boiling, no heat, it's light, bland, and heart-healthy. But the next morning, you wake up feeling nauseous, dizzy, and dehydrated. This happens more often than you think. Quinoa, when undercooked or eaten raw in cold dishes like salads or overnight dishes, can become a breeding ground for bacteria like Bacillus cereus and Salmonella. These bacteria can survive if the quinoa is only lightly soaked or steamed, especially if the dish is left at room temperature or in a warm kitchen. For people over 60, the risk is higher. Your immune system weakens with age. That means even mild foodborne infections can have serious consequences, including vomiting, dehydration, low blood pressure, or hospitalization. The solution? Quinoa should be fully cooked. Simmer in boiling water for at least 15 minutes until soft and translucent. Skip recipes that call for raw or undercooked quinoa, and avoid quinoa salads from delis or buffets unless you know how they're prepared. Clean eating should never mean half-cooked, especially after age 60. Soaking your quinoa may not kill hidden bacteria, and neither will your fridge. But what about that cold bowl of overnight oats? Let's talk about what really happens when grains skip the stove. Comment number 1. If you've ever spotted strange dots on your bread or cereal and weren't sure if it was still safe to eat. 3. Oats, a breakfast trend that can backfire after 60. Overnight oats are all the rage. They're easy, trendy, and touted as a gut-friendly breakfast. But for older adults, this health hack may be doing more harm than good. Raw or lightly soaked oats, especially steel-cut or rolled oats, are not always easy to digest. When oats are soaked overnight in cold milk or yogurt, they're often undercooked. Add chopped fruit, honey, or nuts, and the risks increase, especially if the mixture sits at room temperature too long before being refrigerated. What's the danger? For people over 60, these seemingly harmless bowls of oats can cause gas, stomach cramps, diarrhea, or even infection from pathogens in the milk. Older adults have more sensitive guts and weaker immune systems, which means that even a minor food problem can lead to serious fatigue, dehydration, or a sudden decline in health. The solution? Switch to warm oats, well-cooked, easy to digest, and still nutritious. If you still want to prep your breakfast, cook the oats ahead of time, cool them properly, and then refrigerate them. Never rely on cold soaking alone. What works for a 30-year-old influencer may not work for your 70-year-old body. Comment number 3. If you've ever eaten overnight oats and felt bloated, uncomfortable, or had trouble sleeping afterward. 4. Brown rice cheap bags can carry hidden risks after 60. You buy a bag of brown rice at your local market. It's cheap, unlabeled, and packaged in a soft zip-top bag. No vacuum, no obvious expiration date. Seems harmless, right? But here's what most people overlook. Brown rice has an oil-rich outer bran layer. That's what makes it healthy and what makes it spoil so quickly. When brown rice is stored without being properly sealed or left in warm, humid conditions, like at an outdoor market or street stall, it becomes a breeding ground for mold, insects, and oxidation. Older adults are especially vulnerable to these risks. Fungal toxins like aflatoxin, which can form on improperly stored brown rice, can silently damage liver function over time. Even small amounts of spoiled rice can cause fatigue, gastrointestinal discomfort, or dangerous interactions with medications. What can you do? Always buy brown rice from reputable stores, in vacuum-sealed or factory-sealed packaging. Check the packaging date. Store it in the refrigerator and use it within 1-2 months. If it smells moldy or looks discolored, throw it out. Don't risk it. Not all healthy foods stay fresh on the shelf, especially below 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 38 degrees Celsius. Even if your rice looks fine, it might be quietly spoiling your gut. But what about that jar of barley sitting untouched for months? Stay with us. Some risks grow slowly and silently. 5. Barley safe for the heart, but harmful if you store it wrong. There's a jar of barley sitting in your pantry. You bought it a few months ago. It still looks fine, so you grab a handful to add to your soup. But what you don't see or smell may be quietly irritating your gut. Barley is often touted for its heart-healthy benefits, but like many whole grains, it's sensitive to humidity and time. When kept in reusable zip-top bags or loosely sealed jars in a damp pantry, barley can absorb moisture from the air. That creates the conditions for mold, yeast overgrowth, or even natural fermentation, often going unnoticed until symptoms appear. If you're over 60, your digestive system is less resilient. Eating slightly sour or moldy barley can lead to gas, mild diarrhea, and electrolyte imbalances, especially if you're also taking blood pressure or heart medications. How to keep it safe? Buy only what you'll use in a month or two. Store barley in an airtight glass jar, preferably in the fridge or freezer. If it smells sweet or sour or has a white dusty coating, throw it out. Saving grains doesn't always mean saving your health. After 60, freshness is more important than ever. Comment number 5. If you've ever found an old jar of barley in your kitchen and debated whether to keep it or toss it. 6. Millet, a gentle grain that turns risky when stored with others. There's a jar of barley sitting in your pantry. You bought it a few months ago. It still looks fine, so you grab a handful to add to your soup. But what you don't see or smell may be quietly irritating your gut. Barley is often touted for its heart-healthy benefits, but like many whole grains, it's sensitive to humidity and time. When kept in reusable zip-top bags or loosely sealed jars in a damp pantry, barley can absorb moisture from the air. That creates the conditions for mold, yeast overgrowth, or even natural fermentation, often going unnoticed until symptoms appear. If you're over 60, your digestive system is less resilient. Eating slightly sour or moldy barley can lead to gas, mild diarrhea, and electrolyte imbalances. especially if you're also taking blood pressure or heart medications. How to keep it safe. Buy only what you'll use in a month or two. Store barley in an airtight glass jar, preferably in the fridge or freezer. If it smells sweet or sour or has a white, dusty coating, throw it out. Saving grains doesn't always mean saving your health. After 60, freshness is more important than ever. You've kept your millet clean and separate. That's smart. But what if the danger isn't in your pantry, but in the water where your rice was born? Keep watching to learn the wild truth. 7. Wild rice, expensive, exotic, and sometimes contaminated by nature. Wild rice looks luxurious. The long, shiny black grains often appear in high-enamine salads or gourmet grain mixes. It's touted as a super grain, naturally flavorful, nutrient-dense, and high in fiber. But there's a hidden side that's rarely talked about. Unlike brown or white rice, wild rice isn't actually rice. It's the seed of an aquatic grass, typically harvested from lakes, marshes, or wetlands. Many batches are hand-harvested or collected from semi-wild sources. This means they may come into contact with bird droppings, animal waste, or contaminated water, especially if they're not processed under strict sanitary control. At home, people often oversoak or undercook wild rice to retain its chewy texture. That's a problem. If the rice carries E. coli, listeria, or other waterborne bacteria, they can survive minor cooking or improper handling. For older adults, the risks are real. Infections from these bacteria can cause persistent digestive upset, dehydration, and inflammation. If you're managing diabetes, kidney disease, or immune conditions, contaminated wild rice can make your system worse. To stay safe, buy wild rice from reputable brands that are USDA certified or food safe. Don't eat it al dente, simmer it for at least 45-50 minutes until the grains crack, and avoid dishes in which wild rice is simply steamed or worn. Just because something is wild and expensive doesn't mean it's clean or safe, especially after age 60. Comment number 7. If you've ever cooked wild rice at home and weren't sure if it was fully cooked through, 8. Rye, natural and nutritious but risky when bought in bulk without oversight. You buy bulk whole grain rye from your local natural food store. No packaging, no additives. Just the whole grain scooped into a paper bag. It feels clean and basic, but what you don't see is where that rye has been stored before it gets to you. Rye is particularly susceptible to a fungal contaminant called ergot, a toxic mold that grows on grain heads in damp or poorly ventilated storage conditions. Unlike regular mold, ergot does more than just ruin the flavor. It produces potent alkaloids that can constrict blood vessels, disrupt the nervous system, and with repeated exposure at low levels, cause numbness, muscle cramps, or confusion. For people over 60, the risks increase. Circulation may already be slower, nerves more sensitive, and medications more likely to react. Eating rye contaminated with ergot can aggravate neuropathy symptoms, cause unusual dizziness, or increase memory problems, especially if consumed for weeks without realizing it. How to protect yourself? Avoid buying whole rye in bulk unless it is certified, sealed, and sourced from a reputable source. Labels should include post-harvest cleaning and processing procedures. Soaking does not remove ergot, only thorough cooking or dry roasting will. And if you ever find small, dark, rock-hard grains in your rye, throw out the entire batch. Nature is powerful, but unchecked power can turn against you. When whole grains don't work for everybody, after 60, and why timing matters too. Whole grains are often touted as essential to good health, but after age 60, not every digestive system responds the same way, and not every time of day is the right time to eat them. If you've had bowel surgery, have irritable bowel syndrome, IBS, or are managing diverticulitis, certain whole grains, especially those with large hulls or tough outer layers, can irritate the lining of your intestines. These grains can slow down food transit time or increase gas production, making symptoms worse. In some cases, they can cause cramping, bloating, or diarrhea, all of which can be debilitating for older adults. Even if you tolerate whole grains well, timing matters. Eating a bowl of high-fiber cereal late at night may seem healthy, but for older adults with slower digestion or reflux problems, it can lead to heartburn, restlessness, or disrupted sleep. This is especially true if the meal is high in bran, nuts, or coarse grains that take hours to move through the gut. What's the solution? If you already have bowel issues, talk to your doctor before increasing your whole grain intake and consider lighter forms like porridge or granola. For most people, breakfast and lunch are the best times to enjoy whole grains. They'll give you sustained energy and are less likely to disrupt your sleep. Your body at 65 isn't the same as it was at 35, and neither is your digestive system. Pay attention to how you feel, not just what the label says. Whole grains can absolutely support your health after 60, but only if you treat them with the care your body now needs. It's not about avoiding them, it's about understanding how storage, preparation, and your own digestive changes affect what was once a safe food. Remember, it's not age that makes you weak, it's the habits you hold on to, without question. Today, take a look in your pantry. Toss out any unsealed or questionable grains. Check the dates. Rinse, repackage, and prepare with intention. Small steps like these protect not just your stomach, but your energy, balance, and clarity. Have you had to throw out grains before, or made a change in how you cook them? Comment below with the number of the section that surprised you most. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to HEALZO, your trusted guide to safer, smarter eating after 60.